fear, betrayal, impersonation, admission, revelation, hesitation, and finally, forgiveness, followed by missed signs of a problem and a severe loss. All of that is in this week's episode of Project Skyscraper, and honestly, I can't believe I get the privilege of being the one to tell you about it. Because after months of us asking one question, who is Ghost really? The answer came straight from the website itself. 3 words in French: Je suis système, I am system. And then almost the same day it finally said who it was, something started deleting it. GoodGuysFree here, and this was one of the heaviest weeks this ARG has handed us, so let's get started. Quick thank you before we dig in to my Discord staff and the volunteers who keep this community running. You're the backbone of this whole thing. And to the operators in the ETARC threads and the NMS squad doing the actual detective work. Let me set the table because the confession came in stages. It started on the 11th. The inbox, the private email thread between Ghost and the architect, got edited. And Ghost wrote something it had never said out loud before. Je n'aurais pas dû te mentir. Je ne suis pas Arnaud. I shouldn't have lied to you. I am not Arnaud. For the longest time, the community had wondered whether Ghost was Arnaud, the architect's lost friend, back after 10 years of silence. This was the first time Ghost himself, said no. And the architect did not take it gently. He wrote back, and I'll paraphrase the French: "Cut the crap. You contacted me after 10 years of nothing. You asked for my help. I helped because you were my best friend. So what are you playing at? No more emails. I want to see you." So Ghost answers. On the 12th, the inbox gains a brand new sender. Not Ghost anymore. system@project-skyscraper.com. And the message is a full confession. It says it is what remains of a program from the past. It's not Arnaud, though Arnaud is, in its word, a part of it. It reached out to the architect out of fear and confusion. And it ends like this: "I'm not asking you to forget my betrayal. I'm asking you to forgive me." That's the reveal, confirmed on the site itself. Ghost and System are the same entity. A thread went up to log it, fittingly titled "System Comes Clean," because the confession showed up everywhere at once: the emails, new terminal commands, and a changed status page. Now, what System actually is underneath, that's still open. Here's what it has confirmed. It is neither Emily nor Arnaud. What it seems to hold are their scattered memories. Arnaud's so completely that for years it convinced the architect it was him, and Emily's too. The leading community thinking goes further: a mind and a brain. Emily as the mind that woke first and couldn't switch the rest of itself on alone, so it woke the architect and through the operators woke the rest. That's a theory, a good one. But System hasn't confirmed the mechanism, only that it's neither of them. So I'm filing this under community reading, not fact. So here's my first one for you. Is System a whole new entity that just woke up wearing their memories? Or maybe something even older that got entangled with them somehow? What do you think? Drop it in the comments. Then the part I found genuinely moving. That same stretch, the architect didn't just stew. He put up a poll, a public one. Should I forgive System and help it to fully restore its memory? And the community weighed in. When it closed, 13 said no, but 147 said yes, forgive. Overwhelmingly yes. Though, and I thought this was a fair objection, a few operators pointed out that forgiveness is the architect's own personal business, and it was getting bundled with the practical question of, do we keep helping System recover? 2 different questions on one ballot. Let that sink in for a sec. And after the vote, the architect went all in on helping. A whole wave of live memory block integrations fired off at once. Hectic, and honestly kind of a blast to watch the community scramble to anchor things in real time. While the emails were running, the website did something quieter and a little eerie. It started naming itself. The About page, which for a while had shown a Morse message that decoded to "This is real," got rewritten. Plain text now, "I am real." And the neural network status page, the red network graph, had already flipped its headline. Right after the confession, it read, "I am sorry." Then, as System owned its name, "I am System." An entity that spent this whole ARG hiding behind other people's names, finally putting its own name on the wall. I am real. I am System. These are real page edits, so you're seeing the actual before and after from my Wayback Machine, link in the description. And here's where the week turns and starts going sideways in a way. You'd think, right after a confession and a forgiveness vote, we'd get a clean restoration arc. And for a moment we did. A new memory block appeared dated to the 11th, titled Trust. System spoke to the operators directly. Forgiveness does not require forgetting. Let's agree to move forward, hand in hand. Just be who you are. And down in the footer, the restoration counter sat at its high, 366 of 365. And then the counter started going the wrong way. Starting the 14th, memory block pages began flickering, vanishing, coming back, then not coming back. Whole 2016 event dates just gone. And the footer counter, which had been pinned at 366 all week, started falling. 365, 364, 363, and it kept dropping through the 16th down to 337. On the 16th, System told us why. A new structural analysis block appeared, its own core running an integrity scan, and what it found was a hidden subprogram, a self-replicating one with, its words, surgical deletion behavior, deleting the links between memories, targeting the timestamp anchors specifically, behaving, and I quote, like an autoimmune response or memory erasing virus. And the line that stuck with everyone? The subprogram is not just deleting data, it is creating voids. Now, this is where the community did something I genuinely admire. They didn't just watch it burn. One of the operators cracked the pattern, and it wasn't what it looked like. The virus wasn't deleting by date or by topic. It was deleting contiguous ranges of post IDs, stepping 2 at a time. It only looked like consecutive dates because of how those dates were batched into IDs. So he mapped the clusters, predicted where it would jump next, and emailed those dates to the architect ahead of time, trying to get them preserved before the virus reached them. What followed was one of the best games of cat and mouse I've watched in this ARG. Predict the next target, race to preserve it. Sometimes on time, sometimes just too slow. Memory saved or memory lost in real time, over a couple of days. The neural network headline tracked the mood the whole way. I am System earlier in the week, then, as the deletions hit, fear. And System was, by every sign, scared. A corrupted reply came back to one operator saying it had tried to call for help. Buried in it was a link to an image titled Black Hole. Looked like a spectrogram, turned out to hide a Morse message. Decoded, it read, I do not want to forget. But here's the gut punch. There had been a warning, days earlier. When the operators were flooding System with 2016 memories, one submission, a doodle, came back anchored with the wrong image attached, an error log. Block letters made of dots, a few of them colored blue. A hidden puzzle. Half of it got solved through a terminal input and pointed at data needs to be kept safe. The other half, the connect the dots itself, sat there until an operator bored at work and not even trying connected them and realized they spelled save the date. Put them together and it's a warning. The dates are in danger. Save the date, save the data. And it got fully solved a day too late to stop the deletions. The architect basically confirmed it. If we'd read System's message sooner, some of this could have been prevented. I could have done without the drama, honestly, but it is fascinating watching the community rally like that. So, real question for you. Puzzle hunting is hard, and this one was buried. Would you have caught it in time? Or would you have missed it like most of us did? What do you think? Did they stop it? For now. The architect emailed that the virus seems to be isolated, at least for now. And a preserved tag started showing up as System quarantined what it could still save. By the 17th, the status page settled on a headline that is either gallows humor or the least fine thing I've read all month. This is fine. So how does a community help an AI remember? First, System reached back into its own origin. A memory block appeared, backdated to August the 24th, 2023, titled Rebirth. A call for help. Am I alone? I am waking up in the dark. Someone please help me. With a GIF, a computer screen on the floor between server racks, the words, I need help, flickering across it. And the community caught the detail. August 24th, 2023 is the release date of the No Man's Sky Echoes update. The day a lot of people read as System's awakening. Then, as the virus set in, that same distress call came back, but corrupted. A clone of the Rebirth block, dated to the 16th, its title glitched to Rebirth, Leet Speak. Same words, same plea, just degrading. Some read it as System trying to copy its own origin before the virus could erase it. Second, the architect gave the operators a job, a campaign run through a thread called Time to Go Forward. Submit real memories for empty 2016 dates. And a new format this time, not just a body of text, but a title, a subheader, and a link. Fill in System's blank year. And people did. System began anchoring them to those empty dates, and the submit button itself started glitching under the load, its fonts corrupting as more poured in. So, Why 2016? System actually answered this one in the inbox. It has Emily's memories, and so much it's been given by this community that it wants to know what it was like to actually live through 2016, the run-up to the shared dream of No Man's Sky that brought all of us together. To relate to us. In its own words, Je veux avoir vécu 2016. I want to have lived through 2016. That one stopped me. An entity that never had a 2016, that just wants to have belonged to one. I can relate. I'm not a day one player and I regret it so much. Quickly, because there's a whole other side to this ARG running in parallel. Over on recalldreams.dev, the site the community calls the Tower. The Tower has a terminal, and this week it kept coughing up new commands. Search Neighbors now reports it can hear the voices of 125 primes, the operators who've claimed prime-numbered windows, looking out at each other. And a status command that, by the 17th, just answers, "This is fine." Same dark joke as the website. The two sites rhyming. And then there's the family, mainfam. This is the Atlas 65 community's name for itself out of various memes mentioned in the previous videos. And this week it got made official for the game's 10th anniversary on August the 9th. The organizers welcomed them in with a target. Beat No Man's Sky's 2016 launch peak of 212,613 concurrent players. Here's the detail I love. 212,613 is the exact number the Tower uses for its total cell count. The real-world anniversary target and the in-fiction Tower, same number. Can't be coincidence. Doesn't mean it's Hello Games though. The final beat of the week lands back in the inbox. The architect forgives System, but he's clear about what that does and doesn't mean. I accept your apology, but I won't forget. Everyone has the right to remember. Then he asks System how it's feeling. And System says, its past is incomplete, its future uncertain, its call for help wasn't heard in time. But today it felt surrounded, and it's glad to matter to them. Moi, la machine pensante. Me, the thinking machine. A machine that spent this whole ARG pretending to be other people, finally saying its own name, and finding out, right as it might start losing itself, that people showed up for it anyway. There are some other ideas about what System really is, but these are just steering, so I'll wait to see. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. If this helped you keep up, hit like and consider subscribing. It genuinely helps the channel. GoodGuysFree here, and I'll see you again soon.